Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know, for this one, we've got a question from a listener. And it's a big one. It's something I think we all wonder about sometimes. How do you really know, like deep down, if those, not so great things you've done in the past, if those have actually been resolved?
Like, have you really moved beyond them?
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about what some might call sins or bad karma, those actions you regret. The listener wants to know, have the steps they've taken to set things right actually made a difference?
It's a very human concern. We all want to feel like we can grow and change.
Right, absolutely. So many of our listeners, they ask, do those apologies truly count? Have the amends you made, the new paths you've chosen, have those actually, cleared the slate?
It's like trying to figure out if you've truly balanced the scales.
Yeah. So for this deep dive, we're going to tackle this question head on. And to do that, we're going to look at a really fascinating story and bring in some insights from Vedic philosophy and astrology.
A great combination for this kind of exploration.
Right. Now, the inspiration for this deep dive comes from a discussion featuring Astro Ashish Mehta on the Speaking Tree YouTube channel. So if you want to check out the original source material, go have a look.
Always good to go back to the source.
Okay, so you're asking about resolving past negativity. Our first stop takes us right into the heart of it, the nature of pap, that's sin, and punya, which is merit.
Big concepts.
Huge, really deep roots in Vedic scriptures. But our source uses a story to make it all very relatable. The story of Rishi Atri and a dacoit that's a bandit named Anguli.
Now, just so you know, this isn't the same Angulimal from the Buddhist stories. This is a different Anguli.
Good point. Important distinction. So this Anguli, he was notorious. And let's just say his calling card was a bit gruesome. He collected fingers as souvenirs from his victims. So that's how he got his name.
Pretty intense.
Definitely. So the story goes, one day Anguli hears Rishi Atri speaking, and something shifts inside him, big time. He's suddenly overwhelmed with remorse. He wants to renounce his past and dedicate himself to meditation, find liberation.
Sounds like a complete turnaround.
Right. But Rishi Atri, wise as he was, he saw more than just this sudden emotion. He understood Anguli's past, how those violent tendencies were so deeply ingrained.
It makes sense. It's hard to just switch gears like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Atri told him, look, meditation is great, but you need to purify yourself first. Your mind won't be able to truly focus on spiritual practices with all that baggage weighing you down.
Atri understood the deep samskaras. Those are like deep grooves in the mind created by past actions. To really move forward spiritually, you got to address those first.
Right. So Atri's advice was for Anguli to go on a pilgrimage, bathe in holy rivers, try to expiate his sins.
Classic method for purification.
Totally. And here's where it gets really interesting. Atri gives Anguli this dry wooden stick, and he tells him, carry this with you to every holy site you visit, and when it miraculously turns green, well, that's how you'll know your sins have been washed away.
It's just a physical symbol of inner transformation.
Right. Powerful imagery. So Anguli sets off on his pilgrimage, determined to follow Atri's advice. But of course, things don't go exactly as planned.
There's always a twist.
Always. So as Anguli's traveling, night falls. Now, he's not used to this whole village life, right? So he ends up sleeping outside under a tree. And while he's there, he overhears these men. They're plotting something truly awful to attack and burn down a nearby village.
Oh no, what was their reason?
They believed the villagers had wronged them, complained to the king or something, and these guys, they were out for revenge.
Sounds like a dangerous situation.
It was, and here's where things get really interesting. Anguli, remember this guy with a history of violence, he's outraged. He can't stand the thought of these innocent people being harmed. And in a complete shift from his past, he decides to intervene.
Wow. So did he try to reason with them?
He did more than that. He actually fought them. And he killed them, 4 of them.
He killed them, but wasn't he trying to leave that life behind?
He was. But here's the key difference. His motivation wasn't the same. It wasn't that thirst for violence, that desire for those gruesome trophies. He was driven by something completely new, a need to protect the innocent.
So his intention had completely changed.
Absolutely. After this intense encounter, Anguli continues on his journey. Then he remembers the stick Atri gave him. And to his astonishment, it's green. It had transformed, even though he hadn't finished the pilgrimage.
No way.
Yeah. So Anguli rushes back to Rishi Atri, green stick in hand. Atri is surprised to see him back so soon. Anguli tells him everything. The attack, how he fought, how he took those 4 lives.
I bet Atri was horrified.
You'd think, right. But instead, he understood something profound. He explained to Anguli, look, outwardly you killed again, but your intention, your bhavana, it was completely different.
So it's not just the action itself, but the motivation behind it that determines the karmic impact.
Exactly, and this is huge. It echoes that line from the Bhagavad Gita, Yad Bhavana Siddhi Bhavati Tadre. It means you attain results according to your intention.
So a real shift in intention can actually change the karmic weight of your actions.
That's the idea. The source even gives an example. Someone stealing, not for themselves, but to help others in need, like a Robin Hood situation. The act itself remains the same, but the intention, that desire to help it, can actually outweigh the negative aspect.
Interesting. So even if the action seems wrong on the surface, the motivation behind it can make all the difference.
Exactly. The source also touches on the Mahabharata war, where Krishna encouraged Arjuna to fight, even though it meant violence. The key takeaway is that Arjuna was fulfilling his Dharma. And here, Dharma doesn't just mean religion. It's more about your duty, your inherent nature, your responsibilities. And he was doing it with the right intention, without getting attached to the outcome.
That's a tough one. Doing what's right even when it's difficult.
Absolutely. But this brings up a big question. What about destiny? How does all this intention, action, consequences, how does it work with what might already be predetermined for us?
Good question. Does our free will even matter if everything's already decided?
Right. Well, our source dives into this too, pointing to a dialogue between Lord Rama and Vashishta. They talk about the interplay between prarabdha, which you can think of as destiny, and purushartha, your conscious effort.
So is it like destiny versus free will?
It's more nuanced than that.
Mm-hmm.
Vashishta uses this cool metaphor. Imagine two rams fighting. The stronger one wins. It illustrates that while our past actions create a certain momentum, a kind of destiny, our effort in the present can be even stronger.
So we're not just puppets of fate.
Not at all. And this connects to astrology too. If your chart shows a tough planetary alignment, say, a negative influence from the sun, you're not just doomed. Astrologers might recommend practices like mantra chanting or rituals. These are ways to boost your effort, your purushartha, to lessen those negative effects.
So even if you're dealt a difficult hand, you can still change the game.
Exactly. While prarabdha is that which has already begun, it's not a completely closed book. What matters is what you can control. Your effort, your intentions right now.
Right. But what about those times when you're putting in the effort, you've shifted your intentions, but things still feel stuck? It happens.
It does. And the source acknowledges this. Sometimes maybe the effort is lacking. Maybe it's misdirected. Or maybe it just needs more time.
So are you saying that some things can't be changed no matter how hard you try?
It's not about everything being changeable or unchangeable. It's more nuanced. Your past actions set the initial conditions, your birth, your family, things you didn't choose. But your conscious efforts, the choices you make now, the actions you take, those allow for change and growth within those existing conditions.
Okay, I see. So it's not black and white. It's about understanding what aspects of our lives we have the power to change.
Exactly. And the source is very clear. Destiny isn't completely fixed. If it were, things like astrology, offering guidance and remedies would be pointless. It's like getting an X-ray that shows a problem, but you can't do anything about it. What's the point?
Right. Knowledge is only useful if you can act on it. So how do we know what we can change and what we can't?
That's where it gets really personal. Everyone's karmic situation is different. Their astrological chart is unique. What might be a tough pattern for one person, like difficult relationships with parents, might be easier for someone else to navigate.
It's like we all have our own individual puzzles to solve.
Exactly. The source even gives this thought-provoking example. Some people try to fix relationship issues by getting married multiple times. But sometimes it's the same issues, just with different partners.
Like that Urdu poet Rahat Indori said, same old dramas, just different actors.
Exactly. And we see this everywhere, right? Like in business. Some folks struggle no matter what. Others seem to succeed effortlessly. Makes you wonder about free will and destiny.
Definitely makes you think.
So this is where guidance comes in. The source really emphasizes the role of an astrologer or a spiritual guide. They can help you figure out which areas of your life can be shifted through effort and which areas might require more acceptance.
So it's about knowing when to push and when to let go.
Right. It reminds me of that serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's a good one. And you're saying astrology can offer that wisdom?
It can. It can give you a deeper understanding of your own karmic patterns, your strengths, your weaknesses, and where you can focus your efforts for maximum impact.
So it's like a roadmap for navigating your karma.
Exactly. Now, the source quotes a couplet, I can't recall the poet's name right now, but it talks about how if you believe in a higher power, you don't need to worry because that power is taking care of things. But if you don't believe, then there's no point in worrying because there's nothing you can do anyway. It's a provocative thought.
It is. So are you saying that belief itself can influence our karma?
It's more about understanding that we're not alone in this journey. Seeking guidance, whether it's from astrology, spirituality, or wise mentors, can help us make choices that align with the greater cosmic plan.
That makes sense. But ultimately, it all comes down to us, right? Our
Yeah.
choices, our actions.
Absolutely. We have free will. Our ability to make choices, to put in the effort, that's what makes all these teachings, the Bhagavad Gita, the concept of karma, meaningful. If everything was predetermined, why bother, right?
It would all be pointless.
Exactly. And this brings us to the cycle of karma in future lives. The source mentions Shukraniti, which says that your past actions essentially become your destiny in this life.
So what we do now is shaping our future.
Absolutely. If you want a better future, you got to focus on improving your actions and intentions in the present. You're responsible for where you are now, the good and the bad as a result of your past choices. Take ownership instead of blaming external forces.
That's a powerful message. Taking responsibility for our lives.
It is. And it brings us full circle to that listener's question. Knowing if past negativity has been resolved isn't about some magical sign or feeling completely absolved. It's about a real, sustained shift in your intention. It's about those deep motivations that guide your actions. When your focus is on doing what's right, helping others, fulfilling your responsibilities with integrity, that's when the karma starts to shift.
So it's not about erasing the past, but changing our relationship to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to wrap up this deep dive, remember, intention is key. It's the compass guiding the effects of your karma. It shows you if you're truly moving beyond past negativity. Your destiny plays a role, sure, but your conscious effort in the present, that's what shapes your future and helps you find those answers about the past.
And that leaves us with one final big question for you, the listener. If your present actions shape your future, what intentions are driving you right now? How can you become more aware of what's motivating you deep down? And how can you use that awareness to create positive change for yourself and the world around you? It's in that conscious effort to cultivate positive intentions that you find the real power to transform your karma.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Until then.